Hey comic book fans, today we're talking about Ghost Pepper issue 7, and like I said, this is one of my most favorite series to do on this channel, and this book is, I would say, is the turning point for the perspective of characters in the series, and you guys will see why later in this particular book. But the story starts out carrying on the ending of the last one, particularly the actions of Ash himself, because as we know, he is still going after Baptar. He is still on this tunnel vision mission, and in the beginning of this book we see this hunter named Spara. I think that's how you pronounce it. She is hunting down Ash. She is the character that we are going to have to worry about on what she can actually do, because she seems to be confident in being able to take down Ash, and because she knows about Ash. So I'm very interested to see how she will be implemented as a threat in this series, but we haven't particularly been able to see what she can do just yet. Now, this page moving forward is leading from the last book, where he completely destroys everything and comes down and starts pretty much not attacking people, but telling them, like, he reveals it to everybody there that Baptar is a scam, and he's been lying to you, and he is not the savior. He is not the being that stopped the threat and saved humanity. He said, I'm the guy that actually did that, but I'm not looking for you to I'm not looking to you to look to me. And I like this part in the story because he encourages the big guy to help Walia. Right, but he was just standing there. He's like, why are you just standing there? He's like, I usually react when I'm being ordered to. And then that's when he tells him to go off of how you feel. Like, how do you feel about this situation? He's like, I don't like it. He said, well, then do something about it. And so I just love how the encouraging part, right, to stand up for other people and to fight for them when they don't have the strength to fight for themselves. And I feel like that's a very important thing to place in here and amplify as a direction in the story. And then we see Ash coming down, Ash doing his thing, and then that's when he goes into the speech. This is where he goes into talking about, like, Baptar's a fraud, like, I'm the guy that actually did it. But we get to see his power, and when it comes to like stuff like power scaling, I try to pay attention to that just to kind of calculate a character and see how consistent they are throughout the series. And for Ash, we haven't even seen, I feel like, half the things that he can actually do, because we saw a glimpse of who he was before and what he has turned into now. And if he beat them before, I know his power amplified by now, obviously. And he very much hates Baptar, and it's not for the reasons that I feel like a lot of people might think. It's not just as the simple fact of, yeah, he took all the credit, right? But that's the only part that he's talking about, right? Which is pretty much him taking the credit for saving humanity. For me, a few issues back, they showed them when they was fighting and what was going on, and I think it's mostly behind a lost love that Ash had, and the fact that Baptar was being very grimy and dirty in this situation. And Ash pretty much is now the character, and that's why I say this is the changing point in perspective and how these characters are going to go to moving forward, because now Ash is being seen as the freer of these people, right? He's being seen as the guy to like save everybody from the shackles and from a false savior. And he displays his power and shows them this. And even with Baptar himself, and on the enemy side of this situation, honestly, I don't think they even know what to do in the situation, because we haven't seen actual power from the enemy side. We've seen that they know how to create machines and they know how to, like, do other stuff, but like when it comes to like the full on power, I have not seen, or we haven't even seen the strength or what would make us fear Baptar in his side of this entire story. Ash himself is the overall undeniable overwhelming threat, and we see that the people start to love him. And at first I thought Ghost Pepper was just the name of the peppers that she was using, right? But as the kid sees the peppers and he sees Ash, they start chanting and calling him Ghost Pepper. So like that, they end up giving him this title. And I think it's very cool, interesting that they waited this long into the series to kind of give him that title, to give him the Ghost Pepper title, and give it to him by kids that are overwhelmed with joy from being free from a false savior. I feel like that's a very awesome and very calculated decision that actually works within the story itself. But as the story gets to the ending, right, these kids are playing where they shouldn't be, right? They're down here in like the underground area, and they think they run into a monster, and so all the kids start running, and one of the little girls is left behind, as she was also trying to get away. But then we see that it is the hunter herself. She has arrived in the city and very close by from where Ghost Pepper actually is, where Ash is. And I like how they introduce her into not the story itself, but around the kids, around the children, and she's lurking, right? And she's on the prowl, and she released like these dark robotic demon babies of some sort. And I was looking now, I'm like, these little things look cool, but like they really look freaky. And I wonder the part that they're going to play in this. But she releases an entire army of them, and she even calls herself the monster that the kids thought she was, which is very deadly. And that's all I have for this video. Thank you guys for watching this video. Like, share, and subscribe for more. And thank you for watching.